Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cofilmic. We are very privileged to have a theatrical legend as our chair for tonight's panel. Tonight, it says here, it's afternoon's. For this afternoon, the clocks have gone back, of course. For this afternoon's panel discussion, he starred as Ronnie the Milkman in The Passion of Christ and revolutionised RADA's drama syllabus when he combined Shakespeare with athletics to create the near-impossible iambic pentathlon. He's a celebrated method actor, retired gymnast, and author of Ready Brecht, Central Acting for Kids. Please welcome Walter Mellons.
Okay, right. Let's just get this clear. No clapping at all. Okay? Cofilmic. We're here. We're all here to learn, to experience, and draw upon each other's expertise. Now, this is not an interactive performance. Okay? What isn't it? Get it out. Out! Good. This is Brechtian. Look, there's a fourth wall. Now, it may look semi-permeable, but it's not. Only during the Q&A shall there be any interaction at all. Now, that is not necessarily the case. I may invite you to talk and ask questions when we have our esteemed panel. Our esteemed panel of comedic leviathans. They are polymaths, luminaries from across the industry. And without further ado, I would like to introduce them in no particular order. This gentleman started off his career as a trombonist before using the same skills to become a fluffer on the set of Monarch of the Glen. He then became a songwriter and comedian, and then he worked as a TV producer, stroke director, for several years, and is a director of programming for no more, and indeed no less, than Channel K. They are a Manchester-based production company and a part of Channel X, who are makers of Shooting Stars, Reeve and Mortimer, that's Reeve, not Reeves, Reeve and Mortimer, and Snuffbox, among many other shows. So please go Channel K Razy for Matt Tiller, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Tiller. Okay. Okay, now, our fourth panelist, I said in no particular order, began her career as a pipe fitter for NASA before undergoing gender realignment surgery and turning his talents to writing and comedy production. We've all heard of him. We're all, in some way, slightly scared of him. He's the editor of the leading comedy website, Chortle, which he founded in 2000. As well as the majority of the reviews on Chortle, he has also written in the Daily Mail. So that's reason enough for us to despise him further than we have if we've read a negative review on his website. He's also written for The Independent on Sunday, which does curry him some favours with today's left-leaning central audience. In addition to promoting the Chortle Student Comedy Awards, Fast Fringe, and others, he is a comic leviathan. Please give a chuckle, a guffaw, but not a chortle, because he's got the copyright. Please, it's Steve Bennett! Steve, have a seat. It's the first time I've ever seen him in a non-pixelated, digitized form. Okay, our first panelist is a seventh son of a seventh son. So he's technically a warlock, but claims to have no magical powers other than the ability to make objects move simply by touching them. He is also the writer and creator of Lunch Monkeys. Yes. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to warm up. I'm sorry. I just need to. You have someone on the front. Can you just grab my leg? Just a bit higher there. That's great. Okay. He is the creator of Lunch Monkeys on BBC Three. He's also written Not Going Out, incidentally, while he was in his office, which is good. The Life of Riley and Scallywagger for BBC Three. Please give a big warm hand to David Isaacs. That's David Isaacs with an S. Is it with an S? No. It's not. David Isaacs with no S. Okay, now our second panelist started life at a very early age and went on to be slightly older, presumably. His films have been shown on the BBC, ITV, Sky, and at festivals worldwide. He has written and made work for the BBC. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe he's gone in and just spilt a few things and they've had to go and sort it all out. He's made work for the BBC, including Shooting Stars, Comedy Shuffle, and yet again Scallywagger. The team was humongous. He writes and performs in Alchemy, converting scripts that may seem base, but into comedy gold, presumably. It's a live sketch show produced by Brown Eyed Boys stroke Kudos TV in Edinburgh. So please lavish him with sound, James Harris! James, are you from Edinburgh?
No.
Oh, he's not from Edinburgh. Oh, right. Well, nobody that's in Edinburgh actually is from Edinburgh, are they? Okay, right. Now, this is the way it works. I'm going to ask you some questions. You can answer them, and then we may invite some interaction from the crowd. Now, to start, I'm going to direct questions at you here that have been pre-written. I did take the trouble of going onto some of the social networking sites, Bebo and MySpace, to curry some questions from those that couldn't be bothered to turn up today. But what I will do, I'll start with a genuine question here. I'll ask you all, how did you get started? What tips do you have for people both sat in the audience and those sat near with a luxurious moustache? And I'll direct that at Matt, and then we'll go in a non-linear fashion across the team. So, Matt.
It was a long and checkered and painful history starting off in comedy, because I started as a journalist doing serious stuff, but I also tried to stand up at university, and I did 3 gigs. The first one was incredible, the second one was really good, the third one I died the most spectacular death. It was such a bad death that I've been reminded of it twice recently, and that is about 15 years later. So so you do kind of have to persevere. So I kind of, I was doing kind of serious television, but I've always been into comedy, and I just sent out loads of ideas. I sent stuff to Channel X, and they developed it, and then I finally got the job at Channel K, yeah, and have carried on.
Have you got a single tip for those that may be, you know, at the beginning of the career, or maybe towards the middle and are quite disillusioned? And are forced to facial hair, for example.
If you know you're good, like some of the people you might be referring to in the middle of their disillusioned career.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was that lady there. She was particularly incensed by ITV. There's this history.
I was looking at you, Walter.
Oh, well, of course.
That you do kind of have to just keep going and persevere and keep working on new ideas. Don't keep your sort of stuff in your back drawer of kind of all the old stuff, but keep working on new stuff, because if you keep just pressing one idea, the likelihood of that one idea getting made is very small. So just keep churning out new stuff and improving that stuff. Don't think, oh, your first draft's enough. Keep going until you've got a script, or if you're making a little film or a taster, until you're and other people that look at it are happy with it, because your own judgment is rarely completely right. And then obviously try and get it to people like me. But yeah, just keep working on more and more stuff.
So you need to be passionate, self-belief, but paranoid your work isn't quite ready yet.
That's basically it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait for someone else to say. That's great. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. Steve, we'll go in a linear fashion. Well, let's book tradition.
Well, like Matt, I started as a journalist, and unlike Matt, I just stayed being a journalist. I'm not a performer, so I can't really sort of give
Are you a
tips in that.
frustrated performer, Steve? We're all wondering, is Steve Bennett frustrated when he's watching people?
No,
No,
I
excellent.
don't. I think.
Because I tell you that, you look very well.
I think being a comedian is a horrible job. Why would anybody want to do that?
Probably
No
frustrated
disrespect.
while watching comedians. The first sketch show I did in Edinburgh, which I missed out, I did an Edinburgh show in 2003. 3 stars, Chortle. It wasn't Steve, actually. It wasn't Steve.
3 stars? Is that bad?
It's mediocre.
It's mediocre.
Let's say it's
I
mediocre.
always thought that was very good.
Well, no one wants 3 stars, do they? If you get 1 star, you can say, "Oh, they just don't get me, and I am proudly throwing my own furrow."
Left field.
Yeah. 3 is just, well, it's all right. And no one really wants that. So, yes, I mean, I've set up Chortle and run Chortle, so I've seen lots and lots of comedians, but I'm not. No, I'm not frustrated for them. I don't. It's a calling, really. If you don't feel that's in you, I think it's very hard to go and do it, and to be. As Matt says, it takes a lot of work and a lot of perseverance and a lot of, perhaps not for stand-ups, but it takes a lot of going on the road.
You'll have seen a lot of performers, sketch comedy, particularly we're going to be focusing on here today. You'll have given them, say, for example, 2 stars in 2005, perhaps. It wasn't Edinburgh, but it was a smaller festival. I don't know who, for example. Then you see them again, and then you think, they've improved. Have you seen that kind of typical improvement across many sketch teams, or do they start off terrible and then stay terrible?
It happens quite a lot. Some stay terrible. Some, I mean, most get. If you're not getting better, obviously you're doing something very, very badly wrong, and you should know that. I mean, some people have a difference in perception of how well they're doing. Generally, people know how to improve, and that's the advice really I would give. Is you just got to do it and keep doing it. You know, you got to form groups with other people, and maybe just mix up who you work with, so it's not all, you have your core sketch group, you work with other people as well. You know, if you find sketch nights that are on, some of these guys work on regular live sketch nights, or just set your own up and start marketing that. And then you should, you know, start to get a feel for what is, especially what's funny for you. I think the hardest thing for a sketch group is to find a personality that defines that sketch group. It's a bit easier with one stand-up. With a sketch group, the ones you think of,
It's the branding.
It's the branding, or the attitude the whole sketch group has. So you think something like League of Gentlemen, that is clearly a very well-defined personality the whole group of people have. Yet most of the sketch groups you see are, you know, 4 middle-class white guys doing sort of university-type comedy.
So is that an issue? I was going to ask that later, but do you think there is an issue? Is there a south-east bias? And if so, is that a good thing?
There's not a bias. There are lots of sketches who do that sketch groups in that genre, and then it's harder to stand out, harder to make your own mark. I mean, I use that as one example. There's equally, you can find 2 or 3 females forming a sketch group together, and they seem to have a similar sort of ethos as well. So it's just sort of thinking outside that box of being, that's what our group is like.
Right. So a tip for anyone that wants to be, anyone want to be a journalist in comedy here? Anybody? Your job's safe. Your job is safe. That's good. Okay, so the tip there is just to keep going and try and get 4 stars next time. Okay, excellent. And David.
Hello.
Now, you're a writer.
I am.
Of narrative comedy, but you've done
Sometimes.
sketch as well.
Yeah.
And you've had quite a fair bit of success. How did you start, and what tips can you give to these people?
I think that what Steve and Matt have both said is perseverance is the key. Do what you want to do, and if you genuinely want to be a writer or a performer, then you will just find yourself doing it rather than sitting watching TV in the evening. And that's what you need to do, just work really, really hard at what you actually want to do. So I always wanted to be a writer, so I would be writing things when I got home from work, sending them off, getting rejected year after year. So I signed up to do a master's in script writing to learn a bit more about it. So I did that part-time for 2 years and just tried to learn from the rejections. And then eventually my writing, after about 7 years, got to a standard where people were expressing an interest in it. And that led to 1 or 2 sketches being made. And I met a really handsome and charming producer who liked my script and pitched it to the BBC.